part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everyone, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I am your host, Damon Royster, and today we're not going to talk about X-Men 97. That's a lie. That's an absolute lie. I would never not talk about X-Men 97. If you were seeing me in the streets and you're not talking to me about Survivor or X-Men 97, get out of here. We are still doing X-Men 97 every episode. We are on episode 4, entitled Motendo / Lifedeath Part 1, a.k.a. the filler episodes. Joy. If I tell lies,
not at all. No, we just needed a taste to get us to the second half. You know, just a little snack.
Mm-hmm. This is the snack. This is a Goblin Queen less episode. Like, you're gonna serve up her, and then this. Okay. But joining me today, I have two guests, and I've never seen these two people talk to each other in life, so I think they are the perfect guests for this disjointed episode. One of them is Motendo, and one of them is Lifedeath Part 1. I'll let you decide, listener, which is which.
You bitch. And that my name's Trent, and I said that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Rashawn saying okay. Introducing them alphabetically, Trent Dozier, improviser, comedian, local improv producer, X-Men shirt wearer. Welcome to the podcast, Trent.
Thank you, Damon. Excited to be here.
We're always excited to have you here, Trent. Is this this is your fourth time? Third time?
I think this is my 21st time on the podcast. It's an honor. I think I've been on every episode. It's just great. It's great to be back.
Love to have you. Love to have you. Our second guest is QB1, actor, singer, comedian, entertainer, podcast stress, and also my onstage wife. Please welcome to your ears, Rashawn Scott.
Hi, Damon.
Hi, Rashawn. Rashawn and I went drinking last night, and how are you doing?
I'm so thankful that you said we were starting this at 11:30, because by the time I got home, I was like, you have 12 hours to get this poison out of your body. Because I was drinking margaritas and then I just switched to beers. Like, if I had been doing shots, which I could have happened, if I stayed longer, I would have just switched to shots. It's just more fun for me. I don't have to hold anything in my hand. Just
throw it back. Yeah. I went with whiskey.
How long did you stay at the bar?
Well, that's the thing. I didn't go to the first bar.
Are you still there?
I joined you at... Yeah, I'm do live from the bar, from the floor of the bar. Floor of, I think, of the Roost was the last one. I joined at the second bar and did the second and third bars. So that might be my saving grace.
Yeah, I was there from the beginning. You know, I love a call sheet. It tells me to be somewhere, and sometimes I go.
Yes. Rashawn was there from the beginning. And you know who else was there from the beginning? Jubilee. We're launching into it.
He's a professional.
Oh my God.
Because it's
smooth.
And yeah, at this point, if you're following along with these episodes, we've been watching X-Men 97. It's episode 4. We're excited. We like this show. Yes? Yeah, we're happy it's back.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I wasn't an OG. I did not watch the original series. So this is me diving. I know who the X-Men are, culturally, but I don't know the lore as deep as a Trent Dozier.
Perhaps.
Yes, this was in fact the thing that got me into comics in the first place, was the series. So kind of the opposite.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Trent Dozier, talking to you. So you have this X-Men shirt. I've seen you wear it, I think, and it's like the first issue. It's a cover of the first issue, right?
First off, got it at Target. All my coolest shirts are from Target, and that's not even a bit or a joke. That's just true. But it is the cover of the original X-Men comic, issue 1, which I personally have never read, but I'm sure it's great, and I love the X-Men.
I think I did read it. So oh my gosh, remember when we bought DVDs? All those old ass people. When I bought, this will be relevant for this episode. When I bought the DVD for X-Men 3, X3, The Last Stand, I got like some kind of collector's edition where they gave you like a little mini digest of the first issue of the X-Men comic.
Oh, that's
Oh,
cool.
Um, and it's, I mean, you know, your feelings about X-Men 3 are what they are. I can't change that. I think it's fine. But the premise of like, the attacking, what is that? The prisoners island thing? Oh my God, where the hell are they? Not Rikers. What is that? The prison
I
in San
could,
uh,
Francisco on an island?
on the
oh,
wharf.
Alcatraz.
Alcatraz, yes.
It's
That's
like,
the premise of the
no, that's Azkaban. Duh.
Yeah.
God. Girl, you have to let it go.
Got it. Just got it. Just got it.
Michael, we're keeping that. Um, that's the premise of the first X-Men issue is like they're Magneto, the Brotherhood of Evil, have taken over a tiny island and they were like gonna release missiles, and the X-Men are like, no, you
Mhm.
can't do that. Anyway,
They've just always been
Jub
liberators, and that's kind of a cool thing that like, sucked me into it because it has obviously the subject matters are more intense than a Marvel, and realizing like, oh,
mhm,
this is a drama, this is a catty soap opera, and I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And you know, the more I think about this episode, because having a podcast forces me to, I probably would have like, I call this a filler episode, but I think justice for filler episodes. I feel like they've gone away in the days of binging and streaming.
Mm.
Like you don't get those episodes where we're gonna do a body swap episode, Like I feel like Buffy the Vampire Slayer really like some of the better episodes of Buffy were like just random, like we have to fill 22 hours of television, so let's just do a random thing. And I feel like now it's just about the plot and like the A storyline constantly runs. And you don't get a chance to see Jubilee get sucked into a video game.
This would be kind of a bottleneck episode. I mean, it's still very epic, and obviously they
Hmm.
didn't blow the budget on whatever happened before because there's more stuff to be happening. But we learn more about, oh God, what's the dude who he's concealing his powers?
Roberto, aka I
Roberto.
think Sunspot, is that his superhero name?
Because it
Confirmed.
just because the my basic knowledge, like I rewatched the original episode, like one of the original X-Men thing, and Jubilee
Hmm.
was the one who was basically his parallel. Who's this new
Hmm.
person? They're basically the audience being like, Rashawn, these are the important people you should be paying attention to. These are everyone's, relationships to each other, how people feel about each other. And we learn more about
Hmm.
this kid. Like, oh, all I know is that he's rich and he's afraid to tell his parents that he's a mutant. Oh, sorry, he
Yes.
and that he like Loki has some like self-hate. He was like, oh, when they were in the Motendo game, just being like, oh, I told my parents I thought mutants were shit bags because I could see
Hmm.
that my mom was getting anxious. It's like, oh, girl, that is love yourself.
I
It
mean,
was very triggering in that way.
oh yeah, but agreed. Also, like, I'm glad that we're going there. I feel like that's like a little it's a little accent on on the story we're telling, like, or I don't know, it's like a different angle that I didn't think we would address in this cartoon series. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I don't know. Trent Dozier, are you liking Roberto? How are you feeling about him?
I'm liking him more than I'm uh liking Jubilee, I guess. But I like him. I think it's kind of like you were just alluding to, Damon. It has been incredible how mature this series has felt because it's like,
Hmm.
supposed to be a continuation of this show that we all watched as kids, basically. But I rewatched the original run of the series during the pandemic, and it was mature back then. And I think it's
Yeah.
very cool both then and now that they are not treating any of these issues with kid gloves, and in fact they are using superheroes and comic book characters to, in my opinion, help children identify issues that they might not be able to understand, and they're framing it in a way, in this Marvel world where it's like easier for someone to, it makes sense and stuff. So yeah, I
I love
think
that.
I've been enjoying him, and I like his journey, and I enjoy where it goes.
Yes. We love. Don't spoil it.
That's fine.
Um, yes, I love that. Again, I don't know if we're getting that here, like what you're saying. Like
Yeah, in
we're
this
not getting a lot
episode
of that here. Yeah.
specifically, yeah.
Because it's like her
So,
birthday, and everyone's like,
mhm,
"We're gonna do training," and she's like, "Girl, I'm 18. Let's have a party."
Yeah.
But most you could do is like scratch a lotto ticket. My 18th birthday sucked ass. You can't do anything. You get registered to vote. I mean, that's cool.
mhm,
Do that, guys. You could be
please.
drafted, and you could like lose money at the casino. That's what I learned on my 18th birthday.
Uh, I think I had a marching band performance on my 18th birthday. So
That's more
that's
fun.
For your birthday
uh,
specifically?
no, for the school, the football team.
Oh,
I had
nice.
to be in marching band on my birthday, senior year.
I
Honestly,
understand.
go off.
I thought you were saying that you had a marching band play your 18th birthday, and I was like, that's awesome. That's cool.
No, no, I was in the band. I was with them. Uh, so much like Jubilation Lee, which I've been saying that. Is that her real name, Jubilation Lee?
I
She calls
think
herself
so.
Jubilee. Okay.
Jubilation, last name Lee. Lee, comma,
Yes.
Jubilation.
Yeah. Jubilation Lee. That's her real name.
Huh.
I'm also confirming it, looking it up. That is true.
Mhm.
That's
When you
crazy.
when you put that many syllables in a child's name, you really have to be like, you got to be the best speller and reader in your class.
Well,
That's
that's why
being
she's
put
like,
on
call me
you.
Jubilee. That's why she's like, call me Jubilee. She has the earrings that say Jubilee. She's like, I'm not. We're not even saying those syllables. It's Jubilee. So Jubilation Lee, she turned 18. She's pissed because Magneto,
Who just
it's
got
like,
here?
just got here. I was like, it's like Magneto, like he's not gonna care about your birthday. And I'm glad he didn't. I'm glad he's a hard ass.
Yes, stayed true to his character.
Mm-hmm. It's like, I tried to kill you and now I'm gonna train you.
But then the rest of the X-Men who are like, we have all these great things planned for your birthday, but what do you want to do? She goes up to her room, is freaking knocked unconscious. Nobody goes to check on the child. Think about what else we were gonna do that day. How long were they? It's sucked into the Mojo Tendo.
I have no idea. But can we the setup of this felt comical to me. It's like, huh, I never had this console before. Motendo? I was like, am I watching a sketch? Am I watching sketch comedy?
Yes,
Whatever could this be?
I believe that a picture of her was on the little cartridge. Like, how do you not pick it up, look at it? It's like, huh?
I would be
How
getting out
did
my
they?
phone, being like, well, I guess it's 97 now, but they have some kind of comms. I'd be like,
Come
Yeah.
on.
Beast, get the science guy to come up here. Well, I would call Cyclops. I would like blast that. That's not.
As
That's
soon as it
that's
gets
that's
plugged
Satan.
in, they have the technology to know, uh-oh, hold on, girl, that's fucking up the server. Let's look
Hmm.
at that. Let's get a firewall up. They've been
Like in the
attacked so many different ways. How have they not had cybersecurity upped?
I know we just had a clone reveal in the last episode. Like Beast was like, she's a clone. Like he did like boop 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 clone.
And even
Take
Jubilee,
that.
I love when she shaded Jean. She's like, oh, so the clone just gets to go off and be a fucking diplomat. But I can't have a birthday party? This
Yeah.
is trash.
That's some 18-year-old behavior for sure.
Yes. Justifiable.
Yes.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you know it, Jubilee and oh my god, I almost said Rolando.
Roberto.
Roberto. They get sucked into this game of Motendo. Trent Dozier, I believe you requested this episode. You were like, "Give me that," and for
Yes.
this specific video game reason, I believe. Yes,
Yes, that's correct. Thank you, Damon.
please go
In
off.
addition to the X-Men TV series, animated series being formative for me, they also at my local Chuck E. Cheese, they had one of those standing games, which it's kind of like, alluded to in the episode, but one where you just are walking across the screen the whole time, killing enemies or whatever. And my
Yeah,
local Chuck E.
yeah.
Cheese had the X-Men one, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one, and the
Mhm.
Simpsons one. And
How about the yeah?
I
Mhm.
just
Simpsons.
remember playing all three of them. If we're going to Chuck E. Cheese, that's what I'm just rotating between the three, waiting for my chance to play those games. And so it was really cool to see that on screen, like, them basically put Jubilee and Roberto in in the X-Men game. It was awesome, and took me back to my childhood. And did I know the episodes that were going to be after this were going to be sweet when I requested to do this episode? No, but this is all. It's someone's got to do the filler episodes.
I would agree. Someone has to do it. The one episode after this is pretty sweet, but
I know.
yes, but it's very fun. I also play those games. I also think I did it at my local Chuck E. Cheese, the Simpsons
Yes.
and X-Men games for sure, and that was nice to kind of see that. I loved it. Like, am I right in calling it 8-bit animation?
Yeah,
Definitely.
isn't it the scroll where it's
Yeah.
literally just going to the right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So we're in this video game world, and this is all because Mojo. I remember Mojo. I remember the Mojo episode he was referring to when he sucked the X-Men into television, and they were
Mhm.
all like on different channels, which
Mhm.
reminded me of, oh my gosh, does anyone remember that movie from the early 90s with John, oh my God, was it Ritter? Like the guy from Three's Company and
Mm,
the Eight Simple Rules for Dating My Teenage Daughter. He passed away.
yeah. Yes.
Is his name John
That
Ritter?
is John Ritter.
So he was in a movie called Stay Tuned, where it was like classic early 90s fear of cable television and satellite TV. Basically, the devil sold this man a satellite dish, and it sucked him and his wife into hell-themed versions of television.
Mhm.
And the kids had to find a way to to save their parents. So that episode of X-Men with Mojo was very much like that. So I love that. And he's very, I don't know, he's very funny. I like him. Rashawn Scott, producer Michael, did research on both of our guests, and you were an intern for Mojo at his studio at one point. Can you talk to us about what that was like working with Mojo? How he was as a boss employer?
At first, when he asked like what my astrological sign was, I knew it should have been on some bullshit. Like,
Mhm.
me being a Sagittarius really has nothing to do with data entry.
Mhm.
And the
It
fact
does
that
not.
his like numbers are skewed. He's like his target audience is from age 18 to 45. There's a lot.
The sweet spot. Yeah.
There's a lot going on between those things. He would just release like these just huge farts, and you just have to get out of the blast zone. It was kind of terrible.
Yeah.
But the dental, my teeth never look so good. I will say that.
Give it,
So
we got to give it up for the dental.
thank you.
Um, incredible. Incredible. I like Mojo. I don't really understand his feeding schedule. He feeds off of viewership.
He
Huh?
gets it was really, I think, shade to all of these executives and producers who've had us just fucked for so long of like,
Uh,
you're dying without us. You need us to be creative so that you can like suck our life force to make you fat happy. It was giving Wally. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
yes.
Giving Wally.
and but he was looking very gaunt. It was kind of like, oh God, why don't we just say no and let this guy die?
I feel like I agree with what you're saying of that, like feeding off them, and then like him being so thin. I feel like it was like a meta commentary because the show's been off the air for so long.
Mm.
He hasn't been feeding, but
Oh.
now we're back.
And his little like robot body thing was also giving me Dr. Lovelace from Wild Wild West. Remember the spider? Yes.
Oh
The thing.
yeah.
It's like, oh,
Yes.
that down.
I hate that movie. Sorry. When the Academy booted Will Smith, rightfully so,
Ah!
I was like, thank God we won't get another Wild Wild West.
I'd like all of my audio removed. You will use none of my good voice to slander Willie.
In that whole situation, the thing you're most thankful for is that there won't be a Wild Wild West sequel.
I am, Trent. I am. And yeah, Michael, let's take out Rashawn's audio, and every time Rashawn speaks, let's replace it with like, keep my wife's name out your motherfucking mouth.
You're gonna get slapped, Damon. It's gonna come when you least suspect that. I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna get you like
Why?
future Jubilee. Got them.
Got them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up. Can I say future Jubilee fucking slaps?
Mm-hmm.
The way she was doing those spiral fireworks and like
Yes.
slicing Mojo the fuck up. Future Jubilee, slicing and dicing.
Mm-hmm.
I have a fun fact. I have a fun true fact to share. So, The original voice actress of Jubilee did not want to come back for the reboot because she white, and she was like, I think you should have an Asian woman voice Jubilee. So they got an Asian woman to do that.
Mhm.
But for future Jubilee, this is the original Jubilee actress voicing older Jubilee in the video game.
That's very cool.
Oh, that
Mhm.
is cool.
And to have the foresight to be like, girl, I really want no drama. Let me just go
Mhm.
ahead and do what is right. But still get a little check on the side as well. Like you're still gonna make some
Cool,
money.
yeah,
Yeah,
a little
that's
Motendo
nice.
check. Yeah.
Motendo chick.
It says X-Main, Mayne on the check.
It's
Just
me,
like, the hell?
man. Um, Trent Dozier, do you have any eyesight on Jubilee in the comics? Like, are we, no, he's shrugging his
No,
shoulders, listeners.
I don't really, honestly. All I know, it's so interesting because I feel like uh growing up watching the show, I didn't have a problem with her. And I feel like a lot of the discourse I see around her currently is like, she's an annoying kid. She's my least favorite person on the show, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like that's seeping into my brain and I don't even honestly believe it. Like, I got no beef with
Mhm.
Jubilee. Jubilation, I've never had beef with her before. So I don't
Oh,
know. And then you see future Jubilee in this or, evolved Jubilee or whatever. But all I'm saying is let's get current Jubilee to the point where she's also doing the spiral stuff. Like that Jubilee was awesome. And she didn't
like
give her
skating
any
on
tips or
fireworks.
anything. Yeah. Yes, that was incredible.
Because the pilot episode of the OG starts with Jubilee and her family being like, we don't know what to
Yeah.
do with her, thinking they're gonna send
Hmm.
her to the school or something like that. So again, we're like, she didn't jump forward in time as much as I'm presuming all the other X-Men dealing with their interpersonal relationships, the whole Rogue, like Rogue being with literally everybody, or Jean and fucking Cyclops just being like, oh
Drama,
my God, get a
drama bomb.
divorce, please. Stop making
What?
your whole relationship your personality. You're so boring to me.
Okay, they're dealing with
Sorry.
a clone. There's a whole clone
Girl,
situation
they've
and a
been dealing
baby
with
trapped
all
in the
kinds of
future.
shit all the time.
I still believe in love, and I root for Scott and Jean,
Cut this,
clones and all.
please.
So we get, a glimmer, but I agree with you, Trent. Like I'm ready for Jubal Miss Lee to like slice
Yeah.
some motherfuckers, with
Yeah.
You
some
ready for the
fireworks.
elation?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm ready for the Asian of jubilation. Yes.
Hmm.
We get some cool Easter egg things in this episode, because like in the video game they go to like it's like mining Jubilee's mind, and
Hmm.
so we're like revisiting adventures that Jubilee went on in like the original series. Any stand out to either of you? Anyone like, oh my god, I love the Savage Land, or Asteroid M, bring it back.
The Savage Land I think is the coolest of all of them visually. But obviously I already said this, but anytime it was actually them like in the scrolling video game style, all of that to me was
Was good.
the coolest part for reasons already explained.
Yeah, I liked all
Very
the
fair.
details. I mean, when they first landed
Hmm.
themselves inside the video game, I noticed the wanted poster in the background that had like all the OG characters. I thought that was really
Mhm.
just the attention to detail. Like I could
Yeah.
every frame could be a screensaver. And if I can say that about a show, I'm like, oh, okay. There's
Yeah.
something to look at literally every frame.
Yes.
I that wanted poster, that's the cover of Days of Future Past.
Mm,
Mm.
When Kitty
see?
Pryde should have been Kitty Pryde, not Wolverine, but whatever, Brian Singer.
But
Um,
the moment that when oh my gosh, when Roberta was like hit and losing life, it
mm,
was so it
mhm.
just felt very the way the lines are delivered sometimes felt like very like in Pokemon when you're like, oh, I'm down like all these points. What like a wild Roberto is in, the distance, and seeing that like extra life that was so clearly and obviously there.
Hmm.
It's
Mhm.
like it was hidden. It just looks so like, no shit, this big glowing thing is gonna be our savior.
Yeah.
What is that? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Sure. Uh, I did enjoy how the boss battle with Magneto, and she was like, "Oh, it's the same moves. I just have to like
Yeah.
cycle through
Yeah.
his attacks." That was pretty fun. And then, oh my fucking god, when
Mm.
Jubilee. and Jubilee joined hands and made that
Mm-hmm.
fucking atom
Mm-hmm.
and the music, I was like, okay, I'm here. I'm awake.
I
Like,
hope young Jubilee was taking notes.
Please. I mean, that would be a
yes.
great callback if at some point she musters the strength and remembers, oh, I can do cool shit besides like shooting Roman candles out of my thumbs.
Yeah.
Pew! She's like, it's my birthday. Pew!
Because I'll tell you what, from what I remember in the original series, I never felt annoyed by Jubilee, but I was embarrassed for her. Like she would come up against. Remember when she would like fight the Juggernaut and she'd like fireworks, and he would like backhand her away.
Yes.
Like Jubilee.
So she had a little bit of confidence when that sentinel like picked her up and she did like hit him in the ears with fireworks and she dropped and she was like, oh, I can do this. And then with just
Yeah.
getting smacked all the way through, like, oh, that was like level easy. And then it got
Yeah.
progressively more hard.
Mm-hmm. They defeat Mojo Jojo, and they, you know, they get out of the video game, and then we get a little smooch, get a little smoochy.
Trauma
Fireworks
bonding.
Yeah.
We're gonna be together forever as long as we're both always in danger.
Exactly. That's why Scott and Jean need each other, because they are trauma bonded.
Yeah.
They have been recruited by an old man in a wheelchair to be teen soldiers, and now
Yeah.
they love each other. That's the only way you can make love work.
I guess honestly, it makes me think like they're just breeding mutants.
Okay, well now you sound like the enemy. Now you sound like fucking Senator Kelly of like, it's a breeding ground for mutants.
In a positive light, I guess.
You
were saying.
Well, I was gonna say, do we like Roberto and Jubilee kissing? But it sounds like no.
No, I don't.
Sounds like we're not
Rashawn
about
does
that.
not. Trent?
I'm indifferent towards 18-year-olds and what they're going to do with their love. If it lasts, it lasts, but I don't think this is going to last.
If it lasts, it lasts. Okay.
They're children.
Are you still with your prom date?
No.
So
I made my prom date cry. The next day.
Oh, sad. Do you want to expand?
It was an arrangement. I said, let's go to prom. The next day when we went to the beach, there were two cars, a car with couples and a car with the boys. And I said, I'm going to sit with the boys. And she sat alone in the couple's car. And she cried the whole way to the beach. Never talked to her since. And now I'm gay and I really understand I made the right choice.
And
I'm glad I
Kathy,
didn't leave
I just
her.
want to reach out to you and say, it's going to be all right.
Her name did start with a C, so you're close.
Wow.
Well, your Wikipedia page is being updated as we speak.
About my prom date?
Yeah.
Candy.
You nailed it, Trent. I did take Candy to prom. All right. So I took Candy to prom, and now I want to take you listeners to a break.
Wow.
We're going to take a break. And like I knew we would, that was Motendo. And coming up, we're going to talk about Lifedeath Part 1. Came to my attention that it's only 8 minutes of content, but not in my head. That I have a lot to say. I have a lot to say about Lifedeath Part 1. So keep it right here. We'll be back, and I love you. We'll be back.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
Hey everyone, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of Producing While Asian. Join us in Season 2 for more conversations with actors, artists, producers, and more from Broadway, Hollywood, and beyond, every other Wednesday on the Press Play Podcast Network.
And we're back. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I want to start by saying, has anyone ever had Forge's Papa's bison chili? I bet it's delicious. That's how this episode starts. Forge serves my girl Storm some chili, which, man, honestly, gross for a date. I was like, okay, this is not
Is
this is
it?
not a romantic date.
Does his chili have beans in it? Because that's just asking. I mean, thank you for the fiber, I guess, but
Mhm.
also we're gonna be blowing up this cabin with a whole lot more than
Yeah, we're kind of
science.
just two people in a desolate place. Are you sure about this?
Yeah.
And the way he approached her, I'm an old friend of your old bosses.
Mhm.
It's like, okay, I'm still dealing with the grief of the death of my leader, and you're trying to press
Mhm.
upon me in this bar, and I just lost everything that was precious to me. I'm really not in a space to want to fuck right now. Or maybe she is. I don't know her life.
I mean, let's start there. Did they fuck?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and I also say yes. Great.
100% no doubt. They definitely fucked.
Before they got to the cabin, honey.
Yeah.
That happened.
It's like, oh wait, you know Professor X? Let's go to the bathroom. So we got Forge, Trent Dozier. Michael did research on my guests, and for you, we found out that you actually were an assistant to Forge at one point.
Mhm.
What was that like? You know, the mutant who can make anything. He can make anything.
Great guy, really helpful. Ultimately did not need an assistant. I was I don't know what purpose I served. I mostly got him stuff. In fact, I think Forge kind of treated me how you treat Michael. I was just kind of running
Oh.
around, getting his vitamins for him, stuff like that. Because
Okay,
he's got
absolutely
all
slander.
the he's got a Michael. Michael, stay muted if it's true. Oh, Michael stayed muted. Interesting. But he's a genius, so I didn't serve much purpose. I just kind of got stuff for him. There were a couple of us who just kind of got stuff for him, but when it came to the work, I sat there and watched.
I mean, how can you not? Gorgeous man, gorgeous animated man. I have to say.
Mhm.
Here's my question: if you had a big ass bowl of chili, are you hopping on a horse right after that? I couldn't believe it. It's like horseback riding after the chili.
Well, he made a point to say that this bison is a lean meat that allows all these flavors to soak in. Excuse me?
Excuse
I
me, Mr. Forge.
just got here. I'm a lady, damn it. You can't act me this way. I'm smiling, but also, come on. No, galloping on a horse, because Storm also did like a free willy on the horse, just
Yes.
arms
Oh, yeah.
up, just taking it. So that alluded to also them humping again.
Mm.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. I live in Atwater Village, which, if you don't know, is the
Google
equestrian
it.
capital of Los Angeles. Yeah, Google it. I live very close to a stable, and so I see people riding horses, and it makes me think it's a very sensual thing to do. I'll say that. I'll just say that.
Are have you seen people going like full on gallop, like trying to keep up with traffic type thing, or is it
Not
just
gallop.
trotting?
I see some trotting, and there's some like hurdle jumping, like there's like a course, I guess you would call it. Um, and I don't know. I think riding a horse requires you to use muscles that I don't think you use, except
I
for
would
one other
imagine
reason.
a horse is like, I can run faster than that car. Give me
Mhm.
just give me a chance.
There's a Mazda commercial that is like that. It's like these two sisters. Wait, let me explain this commercial. So it's two sisters. One's in a Mazda, one's on a horse, and it's supposed to be like, and they just say Mazda, Mazda, and they race each other. And wouldn't you know it, the car wins.
Were the sisters the Olsen twins?
You know, funnily enough, they were.
Wow.
They were like, we hate. They were like, we hate Elizabeth.
That's a great commercial.
Okay. So the reason why I brought up X3, the DVD I owned, is because there's a line from X-Men 3 in this, which I can only assume was from the comics, but Forge says to Storm, you know better than anyone how fast the weather can change. And that's something Professor X said to Storm in X-Men 3. So I was like, are we giving respect to X-Men 3? But
I mean, I'm just gonna say there is foreshadowing of things. While they're riding in the horses, or maybe before they could do the horses, she sees that owl in the sky
Yeah.
and is talking about the wind pattern, how this thing is stuck, kind of alluding to she's stuck in this situation that she's in. And like knowing that misery thing has been following her
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
quite some time. Like
Uh-huh.
she noticed
Oh,
this
yeah.
owl all of a sudden when there's been
Mhm.
no wildlife except for the horses around.
And the bison, I guess, that he killed for the chili.
But
Mhm.
that had lean meats that still
The
give it
lean bison
flavor.
meat.
The lean bison.
Yeah, and also I'm so sorry. We should have started here. I went right to the horny chili. But like this is such a tone piece. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
like even though it's not like the most, I mean, it's not an action pack, but this is like a drama, comma drama, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just so impressed that we're getting this in this again, what I thought was a kid show.
Yeah.
Um, like this whole series, like this episode in particular is like, oh, this is adult animation that's not South Park or Family Guy.
Yes.
Um, and I'm just I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous, and like not only visually but like the themes that are coming in for Storm of
Mm-hmm.
like losing her powers and like what does that mean. And I don't think they hit it here, so I'm gonna do a little light spoiler for Life Death Part 2, but the idea of like how she had thoughts of assimilating and being human. She had the conversation with Jean of like, sometimes I wish I was human. And now, shablam, thanks to the executioner, you are. And like her kind of dealing with that guilt of wanting this and then having it and realizing like, oh, actually, I don't want this is cool. It's not a question. I'm sorry.
No, it's
No.
I mean, this might be such a wild take, but I've also been seeing a lot of like Shrek discourse about him like hating
Uh-huh.
himself, his identity as an ogre. He wanted Fiona more when she was a human, but because she had ogre tendencies, and then when she became an ogre, he lost interest in her. There's a lot of evidence to support this. So it's kind of like that what you wish for is not always, the grass is always greener, that whole thing of
Mm.
like being human.
Shrek.
Yeah, being Shrek. Being human has its advantages, but it doesn't make you special in the way like your humanness isn't as like earned or as respected, I think, going from mutant to human. Like
Mm.
she's
Yeah.
feeling how weak she is, how she didn't have an impact on others like she would. There are people who knew what she was capable of before, but I don't know how many people she's interacted with sans her powers, but just feeling like she couldn't do anything for anyone. Like even trying to, oh gosh, now I'm thinking I'm about to talk about the next episode. So in after the bite happens,
Mhm.
how do I help this person
Yeah. Because we
since
get the
I'm
bite
just
in
a
this
human?
episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we do.
I love the
And how she
colors.
never
Which is,
dealt with
oh,
misery at all in her personal life until this
mm,
happened. Because she could
yeah.
push these wins in so many different ways to get that misery away from her. She knew that still notices like the wind pattern, so it's faintly there, but just not powerful enough to keep off misery and despair. And
Yeah.
that's why it's getting so much
Mhm.
closer to her.
Thank
You're,
you.
you're welcome.
It's like, Trent, do you have anything you want to say?
The Shrek is always greener on the other side.
There it
Hey,
is. Thank you. Thank you, girl.
thank you. I needed
Um,
that. He's my wide receiver. I'm QB1. That's my wide receiver right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I'm the
You're the water
announcer.
boy. You're Adam Sandler and the
uh,
water boy.
Yeah.
thank you. The last Adam Sandler movie I liked. Try it. I
You
dare
didn't like
you to
Uncut
name it.
Gems
I
or
saw it.
Leo,
Oh.
the one about the
Or
little
who?
lizard, the animated one that
No,
was on Netflix.
no, no,
It's very
Rashawn.
good. You didn't like Spanglish?
I never saw it. The scoff, the scoff to end all scoffs. Um, I wrote in my notes after Storm was in the little tube thing, which
Mhm.
looked great. The shadows were very pretty. I wrote that her little weather poems don't work. Actually, let me take the time. I want to ask this question. Does she need to haiku the weather to her will, or can she just do it? I never
I think
understood
she
that.
can I think she can just do it, but the
Mhm.
haikus are her own flavor on it, if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Okay.
It
Because like Cyclops doesn't go like, My eyes shall blast from the pupil.
Yeah.
Because he's a wiener and nobody wants to hear that. I think that's why. She's got this great voice, and I'm sure like the first time it happened, it was one of those like, I gotta wear my lucky socks every time I do this to make sure it hits. But it is very much, it's giving drag queen, like coming into the room making a big statement and saying, I'm thirsty. You know what I mean? By the power
Mistress
of
Mistress of the Elements is here. Y'all better watch out. Lightning. and then the pose.
electric. Wow.
Because I think because like I've sadly my storm has been Halle Berry for so many years now that I'm just used to her just being like zap. She just kind of does it. Although I guess Halle Berry famously had like, do you know what happens to a toad when it's struck by lightning?
Didn't
Do
they
you
trick
know?
her into that movie?
Didn't they what?
They tricked her into that movie. I felt like I saw an interview where she was told, I got a script that was like, Storm is healing children in Africa. She's making it rain and like vegetation. She's like lifting these people out of their, starvation. She thought that was going to be the movie. That's the script they gave her. Then when she signed on, they're like, actually, yank, here's this other shit.
Full yank. I don't know. That sounds like some Bryan Singer bullshit, so probably, yeah. I'm really anti Bryan Singer every day, but really more heavily in this episode. Wait, okay, so we did the poems. Oh my gosh. Question for the court. How many times have you said I love you and then been immediately slapped in the face by the person you said that to?
0.
0.
0? Okay.
Does that mean we're
one
doing
for me.
love right or wrong?
I don't know. Because I still, even though Storm slapped Forge, I still think there's something there.
After Kathy slapped you, did you feel loved?
Yeah, it was still one-sided, but yeah. I was like, whatever you want, babe.
I'm going with the boys. I'll talk to you after.
We're gonna talk about X-Men 97. It's gonna be fucking awesome.
I would always go with the boys and talk about X-Men 97. I would make that same choice again and again and again. I would not travel back. If I travel back in time, I would not change that. That day is constant.
What would you do for yourself if you could go back in time and watch yourself on that day? Would you be like, hey, make sure you don't get sand in the car when you go to the beach? Like, what would you wouldn't let that poor girl down before y'all went to the prom together.
I would say take your shirt off. Don't keep your t-shirt on. I would say take your shirt off and play volleyball with those hot men that you were in the car with. Don't sit next to sorry, Trent. That wasn't his name, but it was another teen name.
I also, when you said take your shirt off, it took me like 5 seconds to be like, oh, this is advice Damon is giving to past Damon. I thought you were saying, I would tell Kathy to take her shirt off. I don't know how this is helping anybody, Damon.
No, I'm not telling that girl nothing. I'm glad we're reliving my prom night. It very similar to Life Death Part 1. I do feel.
Were you bitten by an owl?
I was bitten by scorn for sure. Definitely haunted by misery from that day. Absolutely. Before we get to that bird, though, Storm has this line: "You meant to make me a goddess, but instead you have fashioned a fool." I loved it.
Her line deliveries are the best.
So fucking good. So all this comes up because Storm realizes that Forge forged anti-mutant technology, that he was the one who made the collar and the weapon that caused her to lose her powers in the first place.
And he doesn't know how to fix it?
No. At least not yet, but no. Stuffing me with your bison chili.
Okay, so then that makes me think, did those people who he made the technology for have some sort of like synthesized version of it to make him not be able to have the knowledge to reverse what he'd already done? If there's zapping powers, because I think she mentions that it wasn't that the power is completely gone. They just took it from you in like, or it's in a canister or something. And I'm presuming that they're either going to put all of that power into one person or have a specific army of folk who are like, you have storm like power. You have this other type power. Like if they get Sunspot, you said it was his name. That seems like some very powerful stuff, especially since Sunspot has not been using his power really at all until maybe recently.
This episode.
Yeah.
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 The first part of this
as
episode.
powerful as the sun, as powerful as the elements. Like, aren't because isn't Storm considered oh my gosh, she's a goddess.
Omega level.
Omega level threat.
Omega level. So
Thank you, Trent.
how many of those Omega level folks are around? Again, I don't have that same Trent Dozier knowledge.
Well, I know.
Couple.
Well, yes, Storm is one, and Magneto is one.
Magneto's one.
Is
Jean's
because of
probably
her.
one for sure.
Even the Doppel gene.
I think
The
definitely.
Madeline the clone.
Madeline Pryor.
Oh, that's her name.
That's her
Oh,
name.
okay. Well, I want to talk about that other thing, but we'll wait till that's after. Foreshadowing.
Okay. And this is a tale as old as time. You lose your mutant powers, you shack up with Forge in a cabin, you find out he's the reason you lost your powers, and then a big ass bird shows up and tries to chomps your man's shoulder.
If I had $1 for every time this had happened to me, I'd have at least $7 or $8.
Dang, Trent.
Damn, that's a lot of birds.
Your bison chili must not be that good.
No, I
That's
can't
too
get
bad.
that lean meat. I can't figure it out.
How does he get it so lean?
Gotta be locally sourced, man. You gotta get out of that Ralph's.
I'm so loyal to Ralph's. It's honestly a problem.
Ralph's, he wouldn't do that for you, that Ralph.
Mm-mm.
Here's what I like about this. I like that this X-Men, and this is true of the original series as well, it exists in the real Marvel comic world where like
Yeah.
magic and the Avengers, it's all there.
Mhm.
So this is clearly a magic bird that probably Doctor Strange should be called. But he's not. And yeah, there's just a fucking, what is it? It calls itself the Adversary,
Mhm.
and it feeds on misery. Like, honey, come to my house.
If Mojo
Come on over,
had a
baby.
feeding problem, they should like link up,
Yeah.
and he would be fed for all time.
Yeah, because of the misery Mojo causes.
Mhm.
Oh, what if no? We know misery is acting on its own accord, or are there other like spirit things like this that have happened before that have come and kind of like fed on the emotional vulnerability of the X-Men, or is that mostly done by?
I wouldn't be surprised if there was something in the original series, if something similar to this had happened. But I think like I feel like they treat the world it's not to bring up improv, but it's like a good improv scene kind of where if you just are introducing magic and superheroes and aliens and all this stuff into the world, and if the person you're in the scene with is like, no, that's not, what are you talking about, that doesn't make any sense, then it kind of falls apart. But here there is like, even if you all the characters understand that it is real and treat it with the weight of factuality, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah.
But so even if everything is not fully explained yet, or if we haven't seen it before, or like in this case, a demon bird that feeds off of misery is like, this is the first time we're seeing anything like that, because Storm and Forge aren't like, this is dumb, I don't know what this is, I'm not afraid of this. Instead, they're terrified, and we're like, I accept this, and we'll try and figure this out.
Because it was giving me kind of two things. It was giving me kind of like native lore. It felt
Definitely.
like, oh, this is probably, again, like it is real because it is an oral story that's been told down. I'm sure this was some sort of like demon that, was told to you by like an ancestor or something, an elder. Like this is the kind of things that can happen to you if you allow yourself to, be wallowing in this misery and not like live your life. But it was also, because it was so scary, it was giving me anime, like a very horror, I feel like one of those like soul demon sort of things that just comes out of like a lightning crash in the sky and is this horrifying, omnipresent thing that's stylistically very different from everything that we saw. So again, like very jarring and cool.
Yeah, and I like how you brought up anime, because I feel like anime does this a lot, where it's like it is a real physical threat, but it's also what a great representation for where Storm is in her mental state, and like having, and I think that's a cool thing with superheroes. Like oftentimes your villain is a representation of your trauma that you're going through. So what will happen next to Storm? We don't know. But what's going to happen next on this podcast? We do know, because it's time to play Fuck, Marry, Kill. It's our favorite game we like to play. 3 people will be chosen. One will fuck, one will marry, one we will kill. Do I still need to explain how this game is played? You get
One more time.
I will give you the people on the docket today in this short but jumbo-sized episode of Motendo / Lifedeath Part 1. We've got Jubilee, aka Jubilation Lee, Mojo, and Forge. Everybody's favorite chili cook, Forge. I will go first to give my guests time to think. Oh, Lord, I don't want to body shame, but I think Mojo's disgusting. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to flush him down a toilet.
Mojo?
Even gaunt. Thank you for bringing it up. So like gaunt or full figured, I'm not enjoying what I'm seeing. If he's full and he's eating, I'm going to pop his little fat tummy until he's a little withered thing, and I'm going to flush him down the toilet. Mojo is someone who deserves to be flushed, and I mean that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to fuck Forge because I don't want to marry him. He's a little too politically wavering. He needs to pick a fucking side.
If you marry him, you don't have to testify against him in court, is the thing.
I would testify against him.
Wow.
I don't know if I could say this on this podcast. I've never gone this crass, but the dick can't be that good.
Thank God we're only married on stage, Damon, because it would never work. Never.
That's what Kathy thought about you on prom night, Damon.
What do you want from me? I took her to prom. Get over it. It was 20 years ago.
Get over it. He still works at the high school.
Oh God. I hope it's not the high school we went to. Jesus.
You don't even know.
No, I don't stay in touch. Some fucking Forge. He looks like a fun fling, because also he lives in the fucking desert in a little cabin. Please. I'm going to marry Jubilee, but only if she gets the fireworks right. I want that spiral slicing bitches fireworks action. I don't want none of this like sparkler things. No. I want full Jubilee power as my wife, and I want her to make fireworks for me every time I come home from work. And by work, I mean an improv show. That's
you had a callback.
Yeah, she's at the answer. He did a callback.
She's not even running lights. She could call the cues beautifully.
No, she would short circuit the light board, I'm sure. Let's go alphabetically. Trent Dozier, who are your picks?
Well, similarly to you, Damon, I am anti-body shaming, but I am happy to personality shame, and Mojo's personality sucks.
Thank you.
Thank you. He has to die, obviously. I also, following in your footsteps, Damon, I think flushing him down the toilet is kind of the exact way to go. So I loved all of that. So let's literally flush Mojo.
Flush Mojo.
And I was kind of thinking the reverse with Jubilation Lee and Forge, but actually your argument kind of swung me. I think Forge would be better as like a one night stand than a long-term partner. And who knows what he can do with that robot hand and that robot leg. Take that for a spin one time. Could be fun.
Oh. And I assume it's soon to be robot shoulder.
Yeah. So I'm gonna fuck Forge, and then can I marry Jubilee, but it's the old Jubilee from inside the video game?
Michael, do you approve of that? Michael is giving us
It's
the
been
thumbs up.
approved.
Yes.
He gave the
Yes.
thumbs up. I'm in. I'll marry old AI Jubilee.
I mean, not to be gross, Jubilee did just turn 18, but okay.
Well, he
She
did,
needs a
and
prom
that
date.
was gross. I know you said not to be gross, but it was.
Hmm. Well, thank you, Trent. Thank you, Trent. Thank you for keeping me honest. Rashawn Scott.
Um, I think I would have to. Gosh, Forge just seems like the type he'd start a new hobby like every week, and I just feel like the house is just full of stuff. We're eating a lot of bison. It's a lot of.
Mhm.
It's not for. I feel like chili's like the thing. If chili is your like, this is really what I'm doing my big one. You're not a no.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed by. Oh, I can make chili. That's like putting cereal in a bowl to me.
Yeah.
And
Also, you want me to
Man.
eat chili once a week or whatever? Like,
oh, and he's making a big pot that you're like, oh, this will be a couple of meals throughout the week.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're in the fucking desert.
And you
You're in the
can't make an
desert.
air fryer with all of the technology that you have. So,
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I would fuck Forge because it's very much a like Stella got her groove back situation. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of vacation D. Um, and you put a lot on me when I first like met you. Like you're really not reading the vibes that I just need like some attention for a little bit. I would, but the thing is, the way Mojo was talking to his hacker woman thing,
Mhm.
I think I would link up with her to somehow own, 51% of that company. We kill him. I'm the owner
Mhm.
now, and I run the network the way it should be.
Smart.
You know what I'm
And that
saying?
was a Spiral. Is that one with
Spiral.
all the arms?
Yes. And
She's
because
great.
she was like, well, you fired the tech crew. So one person doing the job of probably 50 people.
Hmm.
Fuck you. Okay. And she was the one who
Mhm.
probably let future Jubilee, like become such a rampant like glitch and make it happen. So she's already working from the inside. So I'd kill with the help of Spiral, Mojo. And then I guess I'd marry Jubilee, but honestly, I think I would find her so annoying. Just because she's young. I'm just imagine like, okay, me, a 35-year-old marrying someone who's like almost 20. What are we gonna talk about?
Mhm. Almost 20. Yeah.
Almost 20. You're clearly in love with this other kid. Like it would be so obvious to me.
Well, I mean, in the scenario, she would also be in love with you. Like,
Okay, sure. Okay,
it's a
I
marriage that
thought we were
works.
just taking them as, oh, well then okay, if we're happy, then sure. But I want her to like switch up the look. I mean, I'm sure she's very sweaty under her goggles and like just wearing the same fit all the time. I'd be like, babe,
Fucking
let's switch it up.
raincoat.
If you're
A
wearing a
raincoat
raincoat
always.
and it hasn't rained, Storm is always around you, girl. And when has it ever rained on us? When has she ever
When?
let that happen to you? Never.
Gosh. Excellent. I think, are we all aligned? Did we all have the same picks?
I think so.
I think so.
Amazing.
I mean, with this
Ugh.
lineup, it's really hard to like, oh yeah, I'm gonna. I mean,
I really thought I would feel differently about Mojo. Like, maybe I could. No.
Yeah.
No.
he was
I know that about
terrible.
myself. He was terrible, but y'all are great. Thank you so much for being here. um, Trent Dozier, where can people find you online? Do you have shows coming up? I know you do. So what's going on?
Yes, thank you, Damon. Thank you for teeing me up perfectly. You can follow me on Instagram at Trent_Dozier. I post about I do a two prov show that I love that Damon you've done before. It's called Deuces Wild. I don't know when this is coming out, but the next one is on April 30th at 8 p.m. at the Clubhouse.
And it was great. It was a great show.
Oh my god, so
And
hilarious the way you did that
you-
move. Sick.
You killed it. You killed that show, man.
There's also one May 31st at 7 p.m. at the Yard Theater. And then speaking
Can't
of
wait
the
to see it.
Yard, yeah, that one go to. And then speaking of the Yard, me and Alan Giles co-produce a weekly improv show every Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Yard Theater called the Mandatory Improv Show. It is required that you attend. So if you're hearing this, I'll see you on Thursday for the rest of your life.
You know where to be, and perhaps the Illuminati will sign up soon.
Yes. Oh, I'll tell you what. I know two people who would love that, and it's me and Alan.
Oh, great. And I like Alan and I like Trent. What can I say? Rashawn Scott, what are you doing? What's going on?
You can find me on social media at Rashawn Scott on Twitter and Instagram. If you need more Rashawn in your life, listen to Mystery County Monster Hunters Club. It's an actual play podcast that a group of friends and I have been putting out for we're in season 4 right now, so there's lots to catch up on. And if you want to see me on the TV, check out Dropout TV and their programming. I've done their Dimension 20 show, Game Changer, Make Some Noise, all of that. I'm everywhere. And be nice.
To you or to everyone in general?
To the world.
To the
Everyone
world.
be nice.
Yeah.
We love it. This is Podcast 616. You can follow Podcast 616 on TikTok and Instagram at Podcast 616P3. That P3 stands for Press Play Podcast, the podcasting network that lets me talk about Forge's Chili anytime I want. Producer Michael, if you want to hop on the mic real quick, what letter grade would you give this podcast episode?
An A++.
Ooh.
Michael, I gotta say, I think this has been a nice string of good episodes. Of good podcasting. I'm very pleased. I'm so happy with X-Men 97. It's really giving me life because the MCU. And you know what? I'll say this. You know what? Everyone's like, "Oh, Marvel's done. Marvel's done." Marvel's fine. It's the MCU. It's the Juggernaut movie. AMC. Fucking Nicole Kidman.
Yeah.
That heartbreak feels good in a place like this. That's what we're tired of.
Yes, you better preach. Hallelujah.
Okay. I need to rest. Thank you, Trent. Thank you, Rashawn. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Jubilee, Storm, and Forge. You stud of a man. We'll be back next week to talk about episode 5. Remember it, man. I cannot wait.
Oh, my God.
So we'll see you then. And until that time, please remember that with great power comes even greater responsibility.